Hi everyone, Dr. Emmy from Pain Free and Fit. Today, a great video for those of you with lower back spondylolisthesis, L1, L2, L3, L4, L5, and S1, how to avoid aggravating your lower back pain and injury while doing dumbbell flies in the gym. Hope you enjoy. Chest training is one of those areas of physical fitness that many spondylolisthesis sufferers don't realize may be negatively impacting their lower back. If you have spondylolisthesis at L1, L2, L3, L4, L5, and S1, and if you're looking for exercises to help with spondylolisthesis and modify your gym workouts to reduce lower back mechanical stress and pain aggravation, keep in mind these following tips when doing dumbbell flies. Flies are an excellent way for isolating the pec, but unfortunately, many people with spondylolisthesis fail to maintain a neutral spine. Again, a neutral spine is something that's tailor-fitted for each and every one of us. It's the safest position to position your lower back to protect your spondylolisthesis. Remember, spondylo, the vertebra, has already slipped forward. So if we have any mechanical irritation that drives that mechanical stress more forward, or if our pain is aggravated, let's say with a lateral flexion or a rotation or a bending motion, if we go into those ranges of motion that aggravate the soft tissues, not only the facet joints in the back, but also disc fibers, facet joint capsules, ligaments, tendons, fascia in the area, we are going to keep irritating our lower back and we're never going to give the body a chance to heal itself. So all of our videos on this channel, if you've seen them before, are geared towards maintaining that neutral spine. This is learned through a unique analysis on your body. For me, I'm going to maintain my left hip down, my left rib up, and engage my left multifidus with a little bit of tailbone tuck. The reason I'm doing that is because those motions are the ones that check me or disallow my typical tendency to go into that side, compressing the left side of my disc, compressing my left facet joint, overstretching my right facet joint capsule. If you wonder why back pain travels right to left, it's not only compression on one side, it's many times stretching on the other. So if you haven't yet done so, check out the painfreeandfit.com website. We have a free body analysis that'll help you to get started to learn the basics of how to start maintaining and finding out what your unique mechanical problems are so you can maintain a neutral spine, or work with an advanced spinal rehab specialist who really does a good analysis to figure out, is it your lat muscle, is it your internal or external oblique that's misfiring, that there's an imbalance between? Do you have a weakness in your multifidus? Do you have a tendency to lean or twist or translate to one side? Do you have a tendency with weak abs and tight erector spinae muscles to increase that arch of your back to aggravate spondylo? Do you have weak glutes so that your erector spinae muscles are over-contracted and make up for the glutes that's then overarching that back? When you do simple things like squatting and walking, you need to understand these things before you plug it into this or any exercise. But today, a very common theme we're going to address, because it's so generically associated with, I'd say, probably greater than 3/4 of all spondylolisthesis pain, is trying to avoid extension, which is that increased arch of the lower back. We've talked about this in our bench press video, but extension or increasing the arch of the back with chest training is very common, and people don't realize, why is my back hurting after chest? I didn't do heavy squats, I didn't do heavy back work. Why is my back bothering me? All I was doing is training chest. It's the way that you're training chest. So let's keep in mind the following tips when we go through dumbbell flies, which is a common exercise people choose for chest training. Extension or an increased arch in your back, remember, is when the tailbone comes up or the upper body leans backwards. Even if I have a lateral flexion or a rotation component to my neutral spine, I'm going to want to keep those in check also, but I'm going to particularly try to avoid extension in this particular theme of this video we're talking about today. The fly motion, as we come out in a circular motion, is associated with spinal extension. Spinal extension is bending backwards. It's associated with inhalation as well. Exhale, breathing out and bringing your arms forward, is associated with spinal flexion. So the biggest problem with flies is on the eccentric or on the way down, because as you get into position with your fly, whether you're doing incline, flat, or decline, is at a certain point of coming down, you're going to notice your mid-back kind of comes up off the table or off the bench. As it does so, it's because the whole spine is put into extension as the upper extremities come out to the side. The pec is being stretched from the center of your body, and as your arms come down, the shoulder blades squeeze together and your upper back starts to move out. When we have extension of that upper back, it also causes an extension or an increased arching of the lower back. If you put your hand under your lower back and do a fly motion even with one arm, at a certain point you'll notice, hey, my lower back is lifting off my hand. That's increasing the lordosis and the stress many times to spondylolisthesis pain if your unique neutral spine position is to avoid excessive extension. If it isn't, then this doesn't apply to you. But as I said, probably more than 3/4 of all spondylolisthesis sufferers in the lower back are aggravated with extension or increased arching. They need to learn how to check that and keep that to be avoided, that motion. So here's the ways that we avoid that. Number one, the further our legs are down off the bench, and again, it doesn't matter if we're on a flat, an inclined bench, the further our feet are down, the more that our hips are going to roll forward, meaning there's going to be a roll of an anterior pelvic tilt. That's going to increase the arch of the back. So we keep our legs up on a power block in this instance, or if your bench is tall enough, you could put your feet up on the actual bench. That's going to decrease the tendency to arch your back, keep your back flatter as you go through the fly motion. Similarly, the wider my feet are apart, the more it's going to stretch my adductor muscles that run from my pubic bone or ramus of my pelvis down into my thigh. And as I take my thighs apart with a wide stance, that tension through the hip adductor muscle is going to help roll that pelvis forward and increase the lower back arch, many times aggravating extension-induced pain with spondylolisthesis. So keep in mind with the fly exercise, you want to keep your feet a little narrower or closer together to reduce that, if you have a tendency for tight adductors, which many spondylolisthesis sufferers have. Also, tight lat muscles. Remember, our lats run from our lower back up to our shoulder. So the closer our elbow is, the shorter the lat is. The wider our elbows are, the more stretch on the lat that's going to occur. And if you have a tight lat, if that's part of your RPI problem that you want to correct in your neutral spine problem, because a tight lat will pull and cause extension in the lower back, you want to make sure that during the fly motion, your elbows are not as far up towards your shoulders. You're doing a modified fly with your elbows a little closer down, and then watch this angle, we're coming up and over. That's a great way to emphasize upper pec training, which a lot of people are suffering from in their fitness. A lot of people get lower pec training with dips, lower bench press, all kinds of work, but the upper pec, right under the collarbone, is often neglected in training. And as opposed to going really wide with the elbow, which a lot of people do in a bodybuilding style, where we have the elbows as high as possible, trying to emphasize those upper pec fibers, if we just change the angle, so as opposed to coming straight together, we're keeping the elbows a little bit closer to our sides, but if you notice, my angle is coming up and together. It's about a 45-degree angle. That's going to stimulate upper pec as I come up top without creating as much of a stretch on the lat and aggravating my lower back condition. So keeping these tips in mind with your flies, as well as maintaining a posterior pelvic tilt, which is a tail under position, where I purposely tilt my pelvis so that my tail comes under, my arch is decreased while I do my flies, is going to help me, especially on the way down. The deeper that I inhale, the more I have a tendency to increase the arch of my lower back. So sipping in the air slowly as I keep tail under and abdominal tension is going to help to prevent that excessive extension, as opposed to a big inhale and all of a sudden I lose that neutral spine position and my lower back starts arching. Keeping that in mind, as well as your other RPI neutral spine corrections, such as rotating the pelvis to one side if needed, keeping a check on how far your rib cage is either translating, twisting, or laterally flexing, can go a long way to helping reduce pain in the lower back when it comes to doing chest dumbbell flies. If you like this video on flies and spondylolisthesis pain, please subscribe to our channel. We've got a lot of great videos out there to help you. Questions or comments, write in. As always, I'll do my best to answer. And remember, if you're looking for a great program to help you analyze your body mechanics, figure out where your muscle imbalances are, what stability issues you have, what your posture and movement tendencies are that keep applying repetitive stress to your soft tissues of your spondylolisthesis and causing pain, check out our Fast Track program for spondylolisthesis, available at painfreeandfit.com. It has a full body analysis you can do on yourself, has all the coordination exercises to help correct these imbalances, and shows you step by step how to get back into fitness and training heavy without hurting your lower back. I hope this video on spondylolisthesis and dumbbell flies helps you your chronic lower back symptoms.